Good evening and welcome to Open House 2021. Um, as you can tell, we're doing things a little bit differently this year. We're doing an in-person open house and a video open house. So bear with me as I try to navigate this new way of recording myself. So tried to put up my picture here. So sorry about that. But my name is Mr. Slider, and I am the math resource teacher here at Fort Couch Middle School. That means that chances are I either teach your son or daughter Algebra 1 if they're in 7th grade, or geometry if they are one of my returning 8th graders, or new 8th graders for that matter. So a little bit about myself. I won't spend too much time here, but just so you guys can get to know me. This is a picture of me and my family. I did my undergrad at Penn State, where I majored in mathematics, and my master's degree in educational leadership at Immaculata University, which is a small college outside of Philadelphia. And you see here I have the national park symbol. We really like hiking and visiting national parks. The various professional sports logos, because I am into watching sports. My disc golf here, because when I turned 40, I realized I had the knees of a 60-year-old and couldn't really do the athletic sports I wanted to do anymore. So disc golf was about all I could do. And finally, pizza. I bond with most of the middle schoolers over that. I still like pizza, like a 14-year-old boy loves pizza. So um, that's why I have the picture of the pizza here. And as I said, here's my family on the left. This is us this summer. We did some traveling, and this is us in Chichen Itza, which is a Mayan city in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get a little intro into the courses. So I have two courses. So to start with, algebra. The topics for this year in algebra: rational and irrational numbers, linear equations, linear inequalities. Those would be the three review topics that carry over from last year's pre-algebra at Boyce for your students. And then moving into systems of equations and inequalities, that would be kind of our new first topic. Nonlinear graphs, we'll get into parabolas and hyperbolas, things like that. Simplifying rational expressions. Factoring is a cornerstone of Algebra 1. Data analysis, which in today's world is extremely important. And then moving on to linear and nonlinear rates of change and measures of central tendency, again, when we get into looking at data. So those are the topics for this year for Algebra 1. All of the students in Algebra 1 will take the Keystone exam as long as they don't opt out. And, pleased to say here at Fort Couch, we have a really good track record of kids who are in the accelerated Algebra 1 course as 7th graders. They all have passed the Keystone exam in the past. So, I expect there's no reason why that would change now. So Keystone exams is something that we have to look forward to or not look forward to, but it is not something of concern because your students will all do very well on it. If we move to geometry, that means you're either seeing me or hearing me for the second year in a row, or you're one of my 5 new students to geometry. Either you moved into the district or your child self-accelerated themselves through Mr. Lucas's course. Either way, it's great to see you guys again and to have your students with me. So geometry it's a completely different course, obviously. So really part of my job here is to mix in the algebra concepts that they had from last year and to also teach them how to think using logic. So you look here, we start off with the foundations of logic, and then the geometric reasoning, chapter 2 here. That's where I always tell the kids their brain's going to melt a little bit because we talk about converse and inverses, different types of logic. I have them actually create their own types of logic puzzle, which they did last week. So you might have seen that or even solved some of their logic puzzles at home. And then we move into kind of the fundamentals of geometry. We look at parallel and perpendicular lines, triangles, quadrilaterals, similarity, right triangles, and trigonometry. I really love that we get into trigonometry, and the students really enjoy that as well. Spatial reasoning, circles is a big one, and transformational geometry. kind of manipulating shapes. So like I said, I do really like to keep the foundations of algebra at the forefront, even in the geometry course, because I know that our students in the geometry course next year as freshmen will be taking Algebra 2, so they need to still maintain a strong foundation. So every chapter we try to sprinkle in algebraic concepts, whether it's in equation solving or real world problem solving. And then I'll even sprinkle in some review days that are just straight factoring reviews. And they do, even in a lot of their projects, there are a lot of algebra heavy concepts within the geometry project. So for both the seventh grade Algebra 1 and eighth grade courses, you can expect almost all chapters to have projects with them. Typically, the way that we do projects is I will introduce the project to the students. They will have that one class period to get started on working on the project, and then that project will be due 1 week later. So they will have an entire week outside of the classroom to work on that project. Now, the motivation there is typically like students may be able to get finished with some work and even their homework in class some days, then they can focus on that project for that week if that's what they choose to do. Or they can come see me during Panther time if they are a seventh grader, or during period 8 if they are an eighth grader, and they can ask questions and get some help with that project. Moving on, just to kind of show you the way that I set up my course here in Canvas. Everything is on Canvas. Everything is submitted digitally on Canvas. My course, what I did here is I set myself up as a test student. So this is the student view. So I run things, even in the classroom with my new Promethean board, I run things through this homepage. This homepage, theoretically speaking, has everything that they will need. It has a link to Desmos graphing calculator if we do projects with Desmos, which we do a lot of in geometry. It has a link to my Google Classmeet. This year, we'll only need that when we're doing flexible instruction days, because we have synchronous flexible instruction days, for snow days, or maybe any other unforeseen reason why we would have to close school. And then I have my calendar here, which if you click on it, I'm not sure what this is going to look like in my view, but you can see my assignments all pop up in the calendar. Now, my experience with this is kids have, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes, and the calendar can get a little bit overwhelming because of all the things that are in there and all the different colors and everything else. You can see how populated it is just because I have a daily homework assignment and a quick check. So just for my class, they have 2 things that pop up in their calendar each day. So if you can imagine all 6 or 7 courses that they have, the calendar can be a little bit overwhelming. So if we go back to the home page, what I like to do instead of the calendar is I like to look at the to-do list. So you'll see the kids have this to-do list here. This isn't really accurate because I'm in the test student portal here just to kind of do this demonstration, but they would have what's upcoming in terms of assignments, whether it's an upcoming test or a quick check or a homework, or even a project when it was due here. So they could manage their assignments using this to-do list. Okay. Going down to what the class typically looks like. I'm recording this on Tuesday, October 5th. So you'll see that the homepage is a calendar. I leave 5 weeks of the calendar up, and I just kind of keep shifting it as we move along. And this is true both in algebra and in geometry. I think I'm in the algebra course, but my classes are set up the exact same way. And for the geometry kids, they know this already because they had me last year, most of them. So if I click on, for example, today in algebra, we're doing 3-3. Okay, so this is a link to the lesson page. You will notice on the lesson page, and this is true for geometry as well, we have the learning target for the day right here, and then we have the classwork for the day. Notice I have the live lesson and the on-demand lesson. The on-demand lesson, I started that last year because we had kids, quarantining or potentially unable to attend class in person, or the live lesson. Last year it was on the Google Meet. If you're unable to attend this for any reason, you can watch the video. We have a whole library of videos for every lesson that we do here at the middle school, whether it's pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, whatever it might be. And they can watch this video, and then they can still follow along and complete the class notes. Class notes, I'll try to click it and it'll open up as a, oh, it won't open up as a preview. But anyway, class notes is exactly what it is. That's for the students to take notes to keep for themselves. So that way they can go back and refer to their own previous learning. This is really big in geometry where they're learning about theorems, postulates, that sort of thing, definitions. But it's still important in algebra as well, okay? So this is the document that I use to teach from in the classroom. And the students will follow along and keep those notes, generally as squid documents on their Chromebook. And that's all leading up to, do I know that they understood the lesson for today? So step 2, after we do the mini lesson each day, is they take a mini quiz. It's just a 1-point quiz called a quick check. That is every day for every lesson. And it's anywhere from 1 to 5 questions long. And it's designed just to make sure that they know what they're doing. If they don't get 100% on it, it's fine. They can ask me about anything they missed and they can retake the quiz. It's just something as a launching off point into their homework that I know that they're ready to start their homework. So that way they'll be practicing correct things instead of incorrect things when they start their homework. Then of course we have the homework right here, pretty self-explanatory. That's every night pretty much in math. We're the sticklers for homework in the math department. Pretty much every night they have homework, unless it's a quiz or test day. I give them a break on quiz and test days. So they complete their homework, and that's due by 8:40 each morning, which is just after, or it's just at the end of homeroom, just in case they, oh, shoot, I forgot to submit my assignment for Mr. Slider. They can do it quickly during homeroom. And then down here, we have some other features here, some extra resources. Class notes. These are literally completed class notes from, again, I think because I'm in the student mode, it won't let me preview it, but these are completed class notes from previous years of lessons that I've taught. And I put them on there in case students are out and they weren't here for the live lesson. They could still reference my class notes. And then finally, homework solutions. Homework solutions are posted at, this year it would be 11:10 a.m., which is the start of the first Panther time. And my expectation is for your student to take about 5 minutes each Panther time and check their work for correctness and make any corrections that they have. And then if they still have questions, they can talk during Panther time with their classmates to help understand what they got wrong on the homework, or they can bring those questions. And I usually allot about 5 minutes at the beginning of class that I can answer their homework questions. This is how every lesson, whether you're in my algebra course or my geometry course, is structured. We go through the classwork or the mini lesson, then we do the quick check, then we do the homework. Then the next day, my expectation is that they independently or as a group check their homework for correctness and ask me questions if they have any. Without making a 30-minute video, I think that's pretty much it. You'll notice I keep the navigation on the left here very simple. They only have access to the homepage, which is, again, that calendar of all of the lessons. They have access to their grades here, which is self-explanatory, and then they have access to the modules. So you'll notice I go back 5 weeks. So the earliest I go back to is 2-1 or 2-2 lesson. But if you go to modules, any lesson that I've posted for the entire year, so obviously you can see all of this was not available on the calendar because it had happened too long ago, longer than 5 weeks ago. So, but you can access it through modules if you ever need it. And again, this just links you to the class page for that lesson. And you see it's the exact same structure as the one that I had previously showed you as a demo. So anyway, so that's my courses. Again, instead of rambling on for 30 minutes, I think those are the highlights of the courses. I will say this: I love hearing from parents. So if you do have any questions, right here is my information. You can see my email is bslider@uscsd.k12.pa.us. Email is probably the best way to communicate with me, because if you call me, I may be teaching or I may be away from my desk. But if you email me, it'll be in my inbox, and I, generally speaking, try to get all my emails written before I leave for the day. So if you have any questions, let me know. It's wonderful having your student in my class. I can say that it really is a pleasure. I enjoy them very much. They're really great people, and they're my kind of people. They're very inquisitive, and we have great discussions, as well as we do some really, really fun math. So thank you for stopping in virtually this year during our open house. And like I said, reach out if you ever have any questions or concerns. It's wonderful to meet you virtually. Take care.